What food isn't worth the effort to be homemade? I made my own chipotle aioli after having a sandwich in a restaurant and loving the sauce. Food processor, eggs, oil, seasoning, and some trial and error resulted in a pretty good sauce, and a lot of cleanup. I later learned the restaurant just mixes chipotle powder into Hellmann's mayo. Oh. I hope to one day read the Whip of Miracles on a menu, and I'll be sure to ask the server who is Miracles? Pronounced like an ancient Greek hero. Sir, it's pronounced Miracles. Socrates, Socrates, Johnson. Beethoven. The author of the book Make the Bread, Buy the Butter combed through dozens of typical foods and determined which ones are worth producing yourself and which should be purchased. Strongly suggested. The book also includes recipes and color commentary, and it's a lot of fun. Edit. Thanks everyone for appreciate my comment. Is it worth writing my own book or just buying a pre-written one? First, you should develop your own language to write it in. It's better that way. Write the book, borrow the language. You're already using English. It's much more efficient to just mug the other languages, drag them into an alley, and rifle through their pockets for loose vocabulary. Touch. Phyllo pastry. Even Paul Hollywood says to just buy it frozen because it's not worth it. Also, Gordon Ramsay says the same thing. I was a chef. It's a major pain in the ass to make. It's a lot like making pasta, flour, egg, oil, but you have to keep rolling sheets and layering it. It has almost no flavor and is mainly used for texture, so get the frozen store-bought and nobody will know the difference. I just looked up how to make it from the scratch and it is definitely a lot of work. Feeling myself good for buying something frozen for the first time. I've made it from scratch. Don't. If you're going to be a professional baker or chef, it's one of those things you do once so you can say you did and you can appreciate the work that goes into it, but basically nobody makes it by hand professionally. Yeah, this is even worse than puff pastry. And to make it somehow economically responsible, I'm not even talking profitable, in your restaurant? Impossible. Just the labor. If you are a bakery and you do this every day, and know your price, then maybe. But looking at the amount of quality phyllo and puff that's available, not the bottom shelf stuff, it's just not worth the effort and the chances of ruining it because of a lack of skill and craft because you don't have had enough repetition, not a native speaker. I hope you get my point. Total waste of time, effort and probably ingredients, because you can't beat the people who make this every day, even if it's in a factory. I actually just watched a video on Facebook a few days ago about one of the few bakeries in Greece that still makes it by hand. The guy is in his 80s and they only make it by hand because their primary source of income is tourists who come specifically to see it made by hand. They can't sell the stuff for enough to make the labor worth it. I've made homemade ramen fully from scratch, noodles, the broth, the chasu, whole 9 duckin' yards, literally once in my life. Once. Never doing that shit again. Why does ramen cost $15 plus? Oh right, because it takes ducking days to make properly lol. I will also never make it again. The interesting thing is that it's super cheap in Japan. If you make 2 servings then you'll spend several hours preparing all the different ingredients, even when the stocks are already ready. If you made those ingredients in, say, 20 times the amount, you'd spend almost the same amount of time. This makes ramen very easy and cheap to make in large quantities. Many ramen shops in Japan have pots of stock that simply never stop boiling, and they constantly have all the ingredients ready so that they can serve you a fresh bowl in 5 minutes. The reason why it costs $15 plus in the USA and Europe is mainly because it's served as something exclusive. In Japan you get great ramen for half the price, because ramen is seen as the informal type of meal that you have quickly during your lunch break. Yeah, stuff that never stops cooking always intrigues me with the flavors it must accumulate. Like you'd hear of perpetual stews that never ended, simply got more added to it each day and was left simmering every night. Kind of gross but also pretty cool, I'd try it, ha. During the winter I've done a stew over a few days, kinda on accident the first night. It's pretty delicious. Just don't forget to add water every now and then. During the Texas power outages last winter, we did this. With no electricity, we had to rely on our stove for cooking, and once we cooked the stew, there was no way we were going to scrub the stock pot in the dark to clean it, and the fridge didn't work, so I did something similar for different reasons. Since we were under boil water, and my heater won't turn on, despite being gas, without electricity, I got out my enormous canning pot and filled it with water and left it boiling on the stove. Made a decent space heater in addition to having several gallons of water ready to go. Once we made homemade Coca-Cola. It was amazing to see the absolutely crazy different flavors that go into it and this crazy broth to slowly become such a familiar smell. Came out right on the money. Then we went and bought some Cokes. My dad made root beer once. While it was delicious, a bunch of the bottles exploded. Fortunately, the full bottles were stored in the garage, so at least the kitchen remained unscathed. Happens with a lot of those beverages. My grandma used to make Sambucas lemonade and would give a few bottles to my mom too. One day my mom came back from a trip and found the bottle storage area covered in very small glass pieces and one of the bottles was gone. All that was left was the butt of the bottle and the top with the cork still in. Rest of the bottle basically got pulverized. Why should I pay $10 for pad thai when for $15 I can buy the ingredients and make a much worse pad thai? I've had multiple people try and make tater tots. You can't recreate the magic with low effort. Yeah, if I want tater tots and don't have any frozen tots to stick in my air fryer, I'm just going to make hash browns. It's not the same, but it's close enough and hash browns are way easier. But they gotta be crispy hash browns, none of this half-cooked soggy crap. Crackers. I made them from scratch and it was more trouble than it's worth. This is my number one. Takes a while to make, seconds to eat. The only crackers I've made that are worth it is a Rainforest Crisp knockoff because those things are super expensive. Anything with puff pastry. My aunt was a professional baker for a long time according to her. If you shop at Costco, the answer is cheesecake. She was always particularly good at making cheesecake and she fully believes there's no reason to put in the effort because the ones they sell are that good. I haven't had her homemade cheesecake in a long time so I can't compare, but those Costco cheesecakes are the bomb. Also, my cat loves to sleep in the lids. Edit, cat tax. Cat in lid tax, please. Here you go. I.imgur.com. One of the cutest cat taxes I've even seen, tbh. Croissants. I spent hours trying to make those ones once and the result tasted fine, but they weren't croissants. Getting the layered puff pastry right is beyond my skills and it's an absurd amount of work. Now I just buy some if I want some. Edit, people, please stop suggesting Pillsbury. I'll buy them at a bakery. Put the ones Pillsbury sells in cans are a crime against. Bakery? A crime anyways. I'm the kind of guy to go all the way in making things myself. Bread, pasta, pizza, burger buns, flour tortillas, sushi, etc. all from scratch. Never again am I trying to make mochi ice cream. Hard, long and frustrating. I asked my boyfriend if he thought it would be hard to make the other day. Guess I have my answer, lol. If you buy one of the mochi making kits, it's really easy, fun, and delicious. I've never made it myself, but I watched Babish make Baked Alaska on his channel and it looked like a real chore for what amounted to a $15 ice cream cake from Baskin-Robbins. Edit, so I forgot Babish's Baked Alaska was part of his Sims video and not an independent video, so if anyone wanted to watch it, here you go, u2.b. Recently my housemate took a shot at a full from scratch Baked Alaska. It was absolutely gorgeous, he got the fire on it perfectly and everything. The taste too was incredible. I was so happy he decided to share it all, and he was immensely proud of having pulled it off successfully, but soon as we dug into it he said, "Enjoy that, I'm never making this again because it was such an incredible pain in the ass to make all of it from scratch." I got real Baked Alaska once in high school when I happened to visit a friend's house on his brother's birthday. That guy's mom was a champ. There were like 5 kids, their dad was a fisherman and gone a lot. Mom put fresh made food on the table every dang day and managed to make things like Baked Alaska. I don't remember the meal, but I sure remember the dessert.